How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Forever Arsenal podcast. It's all smiles in the building. Lee, Jordan, and James back again for the second one of the season so far. We've got points on the board, not only in the prediction league between ourselves, but Arsenal are off and running in the Premier League. A very different feeling to 12 months ago, having started the 21-22 season. We've started the 22-23 season with a clean sheet, a 2-0 win at a harder ground than Brentford in Palace. So well done to the boys. We're going to get into it all. I do want to start with Lee because I haven't really spoken to Lee yet. He was at the game as well, so he knows what that first game buzz was really all about. Lee, talk to us, man. How was it? How was it yesterday?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Fantastic atmosphere in the ground. Everybody really up for it. And I don't care what anybody says. That's what a good pre-season does for you. Everybody was confident going into that game. Also with our predictions, we all predicted an Arsenal win. Some got it right, some didn't. But all in all, we all predicted an Arsenal win, and that was the confidence going into the game. We all felt that we was going to win the game yesterday, And that first half, by the way, I was purring over that. It was a fantastic performance. I thought it was good when I was watching it. It was even better when I actually got back to watch it that night. It was a brilliant first half performance. The only disappointment, I'm going to say it now, we should have probably been 3-0 up. They never had a shot first half until the header right at the end. We camped in there a half. I don't think you realise how good that is until you see the second half, because obviously I think Vieira might have changed a few things around a little bit. But what I liked about the game is, we was all probably a little bit nervous at some stage in the second half, but we rode it. We rode the storm. We defended it, then got the goal, and then enjoyed the last sort of 5 minutes. I think all in all, it was a fantastic away performance. I'm not going to go overboard about it, obviously, but when I watch other teams, like I watched the Liverpool game earlier on, if you're not at it and not on point, you will get, don't matter who you are, you'll get found out. Arsenal turned up, they was on point, good, solid 3 points, clean sheet as well, more than happy. But the fans yesterday, I don't know what it like. I see what fun enough what it come like across on the TV. It was fantastic in there yesterday. The songs. Big up to whoever made the Zinchenko song. I've got to say, it's genius. It's standout, but the Kent boys have been on Twitter today giving it so they'll be pleased because they're big gooners as well. It's just all round. It was a good performance, good win. Enjoy the weekend now, whatever happens. But also, I'm going to say, when people go, it's only pre-season. When we're losing games in pre-season last season, it don't matter. It does matter because we was on point because of a very, very good pre-season. Jesus has participated in every pre-season. It looked like it yesterday. He wasn't at his best yesterday, but he still caused problems. We looked so much more organised, so much better than what we did a year ago. I think we're in for a good season, guys. I really do.
Yeah, it's looking good. James, I think you're on mute.
That's good. Keep him on there.
And so it begins. I was going to say, you're not wrong about a pre-season, because I know Spurs fans weren't over the moon about their pre-season. And at the time of recording, we're only 15 minutes into the 3 o'clock kickoff.
I saw it. I don't want you to say it.
No.
Listen.
Oh, for Christ's sake, James, do not say that.
No. I mean, as I said, they could easily turn it around, but that's not an ideal start, and it's all about tempo, isn't it? Arsenal went out in that first 15 minutes and blew Palace away, and eventually got the goal that merited the start. And as I said, that I'm sure they'll turn it around, and it's very early on, but it is about momentum. It is about confidence. It is about all these things. That's all you can take from preseason. You don't take points away from it, but you take confidence in. And that start against Palace, let me put it this way. I'm glad the game went that way rather than us start a little bit shaky and then grow into it. I'm really glad we had a fast start because it was flying off the back of the momentum we had in preseason. And I'm keeping an eye on the 3 o'clock scores because the Premier League is back and I can't help myself. But you are right. And I'm really glad it carried over and all the confidence we had. I even heard them saying on Sky before, why are Arsenal fans so confident? Not in a critical way, they were just, what is it that we've seen? And I'm glad that somewhat showed in that game, in the Palace game. Not for the full 90, but for a lot of it, it did show.
Yeah, and when I look at the first 5 fixtures of the season, I looked at the Palace one as potentially the most difficult one. Obviously, we haven't come to face Leicester yet, Bournemouth yet, Fulham. We've just seen them take a point away from Liverpool, and obviously Aston Villa. But for me, the performance could have been a bit better in terms of we saw a very fluid attack in pre-season, a lot of chances created. We didn't really see that against Palace, a set-piece goal and an own goal. But listen, the clean sheet, William Saliba in particular, before I get into William Saliba, the man of the match, on all fronts. I think Sky Sports gave it to him, Arsenal, the fans. I think we was all in agreement that he was man of the match. But Jordan, thoughts on the game? And then maybe touching on William Saliba as well.
Sure, yeah, it's a full house for me. I mean, Lee and James stole my thunder in regards to the pre-season comments. I think that is what we've been crying out for the best part of a decade. I do believe the pre-season matters. I know a lot of people say it doesn't really matter, doesn't matter. And yeah, we can think of examples of where people have had a really good pre-season and started poorly, and vice versa. Of course, that can happen. But I'd much rather have a good pre-season than not. And I think when you prepare properly, when you have a plan, when you get people in the building that fall into your plan, you're heightening your chances of starting well. I mentioned on the last podcast about how Arteta had two approaches. Either we go to Palace on the back of getting slapped there last year, and we try to be resolute, firm, defend well, and then hit them on the counter. We've got a lot of pace up top. Or if we stick it on them in the first 15 minutes, and we did that. That first 20 minutes was absolutely brilliant. And for me, again, it feeds into the point I made about Mikel Arteta learning. It feels like, to me, his team talk before the match, he learned his lesson from the team talk he did at Selhurst Park last time, where he felt unprepared, the team felt unprepared, and it was a little bit like going into the Lions' den. It felt like this time he was a bit like, right, guys, remember what happened here last year? They're going to be loud. I thought Lee made an excellent point about Sky's coverage of picking that game as the first one.
Yeah.
And look, this will never be proven, but I think there is something. And you know me, I'm not one of these conspiratory Arsenal fans.
No, you're not, to be fair. You're not. I agree.
I'm not that guy. But I do think there's something in Sky that thought, if Arsenal lose this game, this could be great TV for us. This could be great content for us. There's going to be a meltdown. They're the fan base that are bouncing the most going to the season. Palace away is sort of game where they could lose away. We'll have that one first. And not that we have to play and win games to prove Sky wrong, but I think there's an element of, okay, what are you going to say now? What are you going to do now? So I love the fact that we responded to what happened at Selhurst Park last year. Brilliant result. Great clean sheet. I slightly disagree with Lee in that it being a great performance. I thought the first half an hour was very, very good, and we saw the game out. I actually think, and it's maybe an unpopular opinion, I think Palace can feel hard done by. They didn't get something from the game. And look, I don't care. And one of my 7-point plans was we need at least 5 of those games this season, whereby we're not necessarily the better team or it's equal, but we get the win. I need 5 of those this season. Give me 5 games this year where we're not blatantly the better team over 90 minutes, but yet we get at least a point. So whilst I think, being fair, Palace did enough to arguably get a point, equally, I don't care, because that's what I want to see from my football team this year. I want to see my football team maybe not be at their best for 90 minutes, but get out of the gaff with at least a point, and we did that. So fair play to Arsenal, fair play to Arteta. The fan base, I think, were bouncing and buzzing. Big up to the fans that went down there yesterday as well. Brilliant start. We can relax a little bit now. But going back to mine, James's and Lee's initial point, that's what you do when you have a proper prepared pre-season.
Turkish, you were confident going into this game. Was that fueled by pre-season?
It was fueled by pre-season, the signings we've made so far, what those signings have addressed, and I said it earlier on in the transfer window. I can want whoever I want at Arsenal, and as a fan, as a supporter, we all have our own ideas and opinions on what player would bring what to the club. But I think in the 3rd year of the process, whatever they're going to do, and it has to work now. So that also added some confidence too, because Edu's recent comments and even Arteta more or less setting a target. I know they didn't set it outright by saying top 4 is bare minimum, but by saying challenging for titles and challenging at the top of the table, that tells me that top 4 is the bare minimum, and that's what I'm going to take from that. So all in all, I was confident because we had all positions covered. Yes, I want an upgrade in 1 or 2 positions, but in terms of those positions in particular, we've still had Premier League experienced players there.
Yeah,
They're just
I
better
said
players
something
all
in.
round.
Oh, sorry to cut you there. I said something in full time, which was like if you asked Arsenal fans to write the perfect realistic script from that final game after Everton to what you'd want to see coming into this game, you're talking signings that clearly improve our team, signings that come in early. That's something that Jordan really stressed throughout a lot of last season before the season was even over. A really good preseason where we show we're about, and then an opening night where we right the wrongs of last year and we maybe send a little bit of a message out in terms of how we've evolved in 12 months. Oh my God, Arsenal did all those things. When does that ever happen? Like, I'm used to Arsenal, and I'll add one more thing to that. Arsenal fans going into the game confident and Arsenal delivering on the back of that. How many times have I, as an Arsenal fan, going to Stamford Bridge, I'm not confident, or even playing some home games, I'm just not sure. Oh, we've won. What a surprise. On the flip side, oh, I'm confident for this one. Brighton. Oh, we've just lost at home. Like, it always feels like we don't quite know what to expect from the team. I felt that like that for many years when it comes to Arsenal. You never really know what you're going to get from the transfer market. And Arsenal have just kind of gone tick, 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 tick. Everything you wanted, we've delivered it. And what a start. Fair play to him. Fair play to him. Does that mean we're sorted for the season? No, you can't. You don't stop there. But that went kind of perfectly with the script. Tottenham have equalised, by the way.
What's the great thing like? What's the great thing about it is that we've been lucky enough to see a bit of the pre-season, and so when you see that, you can see that things are happening. I was telling all my mates I was going down here yesterday, we'll win this today. Wait until you see Saliba. Wait until you see Jesus. These players are going to impress you. This, and this. The reason that I've got like that, and the reason I was confident going into Crystal Palace, because what I'd seen in pre-season, I'd seen us do some really good stuff. I was more than pleased that we'd done it in that first sort of 40 minutes and all that. Like, I know what everybody's saying and all that. Intensity is going to drop in games like that. You know what I mean? It's the first game of the season. I think that that is my problem going forward, though. That when it does drop, we need to replace players, and we couldn't do that yesterday. But ultimately, we got the job done. It was a great performance, and in different ways. I know what Jordan's saying. Like, you want to play like that all the time, but to win games of football and things like that, you have to have. There'd be times when you've got to dig in, make sure you defend. They were right on top of us. I do agree. They had a couple of very, very good chances yesterday. Should have probably took them, but they didn't. We dug in. We kept in. Ramsdale made a couple of saves. We then defended it, kept the clean sheet, and then moved on. So I think all in all, it's not the perfect result, but I think it's near as what you want from away from home. Clean sheet away from home, 3 point. I'm more than pleased with that.
Yeah, go on, Jordan.
So I said Lee mentioned Saliba there, and I didn't answer your question, sorry, Turkish, towards the end. The fan base are really excited about Gabriel Jesus, and rightfully so. Brilliant preseason. I think it's probably the first real centre forward we've had since probably Robin van Persie. And I think he'll be a success at Arsenal. There was a few times where he was making the right runs, but we just wasn't finding him. And I think that will come over time, and that excites me. There was like 3 or 4 times in the first half alone where I was like, he's made the right run. We've just not spotted it. But that will come. That will come. But the player that I'm more excited about than Jesus is Saliba. In the last show we did, you asked us who our back four would be if everybody's fit. And I didn't have Saliba in my team because I think Tomiyasu was our best right back. So I didn't have White at right back. But listen, even I looked at Saliba and was like, I've liked the look of him. I think we've got a player on our hands. This nonsense I'm hearing from the fan base comparing him to Van Dijk and to Company after one Premier League game. I mean, look,
you think he's better?
Oh, you are killing me. You'll get your clips and you'll go viral, that rubbish. Fair enough, but let's just forget that for now. Let's let the guy bed in. But I'm not gonna lie, the guy looks like a problem. He looks like, for the first time since Campbell, we've got a real centre back. And I don't want to put pressure on him, but I see a guy
Did you
there
say
that has
Campbell?
pace. Well, since Campbell, who have we had some real centre back?
You just told us all not to compare him to Van Dijk and all them, and you're going, but he's our first proper defender since Campbell.
No. What I'm saying is that he's our first centre back since we had a real good centre back. I'm not saying that he's necessarily comparable to him. I'm saying the last defender that we had, centre back, who I looked and thought I was confident in, was Sol Campbell. I'm not saying he's just
Torre, Koscielny, no.
No, I know exactly what Jordan's saying there. It's the physique of him and things like that. Like we haven't had a big, powerful central defender. When you go to Crystal Palace, you're quite close to the players warming up and all that. He made Gabriel look small. Yeah. I'm telling you, he makes Gabriel look small.
Yeah,
so
Gabriel's a unit as well.
Yeah, and he is. Gabriel's a unit, but in stature, I do think that he's got. What I liked about him yesterday is that he's confident in his defending, he's confident in his pace, and he's confident on the ball. So he's got all the attributes to be a very, very good defender. And he's 21 years of age. And what I see yesterday, you can see he's a proper defender. I don't care if it's his first game or not. I called it out when I see him in for the first half in that game at Orlando. I said he's a player. He's a player. You know what I mean? He's a proper defender. And, he's going to have bad days. But I'll bet you now he'll have more good days than bad days.
More of his pace and his power. The thing that I think that I like the look about him, which I think is the number one key asset for a defender. You can be small or you can be slow. But the most important thing for a defender is reading the game.
Yeah,
his reading of the game is really, really good. He knows when to come up. He knows when to drop off. He knows how close to be to the next defender next to him. He knows where. I watched him, and he's watching where the threat is. So you can be slow. There are plenty of slow centre backs, but if you can read the game, Cannavaro wasn't quick. Cannavaro was actually quite short as well. I think he was 5'8". But if you can read the game, you can anticipate. He's reading on top of the fact that he's quick and athletically powerful as well. I'm excited by him more than anybody. I think. God.
His composure when he's making decisions, whether it's defensively or trying to start an attack from the back, or whether it's when he's got two man pressing him or he has no one around him. He seems to be doing everything right. And I don't just mean the Palace game, I mean pre-season too, because yes, it's only pre-season, but for a young defender like that, who's had the 3 years he's had at the club, which hasn't been at the club, but you know what I mean. It was a big, yesterday was a big moment for him. It was a big moment, and I emphasized before the game that the quality that not only Jesus has brought, but Saliba has brought to the side. They've equally, in my opinion, brought similar levels of quality. And I remember saying I predict 3-1, but I'd love nothing more than a clean sheet for Saliba. I probably would have taken a clean sheet for Saliba over a goal for Jesus if given the opportunity, because this is a young central defender going into his last 2 years on his contract. We need to start the season right. He needs to feel at home here, and he needs to sign a new contract. Yeah, so we need all of that to happen in the next 6 months.
The other thing, I don't know if you noticed it yesterday on the TV and all that, they tried to rough him up, left a few late ones on him and all that. Like, didn't bother him. Yeah, temperament as well was very, very good.
Well, that was something. I mean this in actually the most complimentary of ways. He looks like he doesn't care, and not he doesn't care in like a. I'm not in it. He's absolutely in it, but I mean not care as in like we won, great, on to the next. Like he uses this. Yeah, that's what I do.
James, it's such a great point because he did the interview for TalkSport after the game, which I was impressed with.
I heard it.
Yeah, his debut, young player, man. He could have easily been like, I'm not quite. His English is very good anyway, but. And you're right. They put questions to him, and I got the vibe as well that he's just very much. Say whatever, let's go on to the next one. And I love that kind of that confidence, but that kind of focus of he was being praised. Thank you very much, but I'm focused on let's just go to the next one now.
I heard that interview. He was like, "Yeah, good win, very happy. Our place to come." Yeah, thanks, Willow. but I kind of love that because a lot of the narrative around Arsenal. Listen, I'm actually not going at them for this, and it was a good debate we actually had on that stream the other day, Turkish. But a lot of it was around from rival fans. Camsdale exaggerating things and the over celebration and all that. That's what people were saying, and actually. While I love the feel good and the vibe and enjoy your wins, there's also something there is absolutely something refreshing about, yeah, you know, what's the big deal? 3 points onto the next. And he just kind of oozed that level. It was with everything. It was like when he made the big tackle on Zaha, a lot of defenders we've seen get up and come on. He just sort of did it, got up, right, where's the ball gone now? Like, he just had that about him. And I really do like that. He might not even know he's doing it, but I do enjoy it.
Shout out to Ben White as well, very briefly. Because,
yes, that's what I was going to move on to next.
I think he deserves a shout out. I think Saliba was the man of the match. But I think Ben White didn't have much to do, to be fair, in the first half. But for him to, you know, come out on top over 90 minutes with Zaha as the opponent, you know, again, you know that I'm not sold on Ben White, but I'm going to give him credit yesterday because that could have gone badly wrong, and it didn't. So big up Ben White.
Now, part of being well prepared this summer, this pre-season, has been how Ben White's looked at right back as well. Because Tomiyasu would be ideal for the majority of us, I think. But him being out injured, we wasn't as concerned as we would have been in previous years if our first choice right back was out injured going into the season. And that's because Ben White seems to have settled in there. Obviously, that allows Saliba to be starting these games and us seeing more of him. Now there's an interesting, difficult choice for Arteta to make when Tomiyasu is fully fit.
Can I ask you, Turkish, and that's for all three of you, how concerned are you guys about Tomiyasu?
Major.
Is this bigger than we think it is? Because he's my favourite player at Arsenal. I love Tomiyasu, but I'm getting a bit worried now. I'm a bit concerned that this is worse than we're being led to be we're being told. What do you think?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think I want to see him. I want to see him back playing one more time, and if something happens straight away again, then I'll be concerned. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was his first year, and yeah, it is what it is.
I think
he hasn't played 1 minute of pre-season. Not 1 minute of pre-season.
Yeah, he's not played. Yeah, you're right. My concern is that the club, and listen, they could be being very clever and you know, telling us what they want, you know, opposition and rivals to think or whatever. But it feels to me that the club don't really have a clue what's going on in terms of, as in, they understand the injury. They probably have a good idea of when he's back. I'm sure the medical departments are superb. But what I'm saying is, it was like, yeah, you know, he'll be back in a couple of weeks. And we heard that for so long, and he wasn't. And then we kind of threw it back for pre-season, and now we don't know. And like, it's so cryptic that it's cryptic to the point where I think they don't really know when he's going to be ready. And that is slightly concerning. Again, it could all be part of the master plan. Don't reveal it. Arteta typically doesn't like to reveal a lot of this stuff, but I'm really surprised he hasn't even made the bench, you know, from where I thought he was going into pre-season.
Yeah, it was a surprise to see Tierney on the bench, to be honest. I expected to maybe see a Vieira or a Tomiyasu. I didn't think we'd see a Tierney, but it was welcome seeing him as well, and he obviously got a few minutes on.
I also want to heap in on the Ben White praise. I said he was excellent, and that divided a lot of people on Twitter. This is my thing, right? Just because Zaha looks very busy and had a lot of the ball doesn't mean Ben White was having a bad game. Zaha, and we rattled through the stats, didn't we, before kickoff Turkish on the Starting 11 show. Zaha is one of the most dangerous players and one of the best. Off the top of my head, I'm struggling to think of many players who are better in one-on-one duels when they're running at you like that cause complete and utter havoc. Zaha is an absolute master in world football at it. And Ben White's not a natural right back. No, he's played there a few times. And sometimes, I was making this point full time, sometimes running at a player and forcing, you know, making Zaha make a decision is good defending because Saliba's there to clean up. Sometimes sometimes you go, I'm not going to win this battle, but I can just impact the decisions he's going to make and the things he's going to do. For example, Saka got a lot of praise when he ran back and, you know, won the ball off Zaha in that first half, tracked all the way back to the penalty area, and brilliant. Well done, Saka. That was fantastic. But Ben White's not getting any praise for delaying him, for slowing him down,
100%.
for pinning him in that position and forcing him into a decision long enough for Saka to get back. And those are the kind of things I think go under the radar sometimes. So I thought Ben White had a really, really good game.
I'm getting a little bit fed up with all this negativity about Ben White.
Yeah, I am too.
I don't see where it comes from. I think it's to do with the transfer fee. I think he's a decent defender. I think he played very, very well yesterday. I think he pushed Saliba for man of the match yesterday. He made one mistake the whole game, which was when he should have just put it into the stand and he tried to play. and got caught. And when he was on the left back position. You're exactly right. What you're saying about the delaying of the player. If he dives in there, Zaha goes round him, and then something else happens. That is part of defending. It's art of defending, putting a player to where you want him to be. I think he done really, really well. I don't really see why the hate is on Ben White. I don't get it. We've had a lot worse central defenders than him in the time, and I'll tell you what, we've had some worse defenders than him that got cult hero status. So I don't get it. I don't get it. He's doing a good job. I think when you look at it, it's a big statement when you got 3 right backs on your roster, and he's the one that's playing there. So it's a vote of confidence from the manager. And my thing for Ben White is that and the advice that I'd give him is just listen to the manager. As long as your manager rates you, you're more than all right.
Can I just comment on the? Sorry, go on, Turkish. Go on.
No, go on. What are you going to say?
I was just comment on the 2 goals, just briefly saying, James may have the stats, but set pieces. Last year, from what I remember, we were really good in both boxes from set pieces.
Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that. And this year, we got to go again. We need goals from set pieces. So it was really good to see a goal from a corner. I know that it was headed back in, but that was encouraging. And then the other goal, Saka, I liked the directness. Sometimes Saka can tend to try to overdo things and try to beat an extra man or do an extra trick. And I like the fact that it was just beat your man, bang.
Yeah.
And I want to see that. Beat your man, cross it. Beat your man, dink it. Beat your man, shoot. And I think that kind of efficient work on the wide areas, I think will benefit him, but I think it will benefit people like Gabriel Jesus as well, because there'll be lots of tap-ins, there'll be lots of ricochets and rebounds that someone like him with his positional play, I think will capitalize in. So I liked the fact that with that particular goal, it was direct. I don't like this fanning around of trying to beat extra people and cutting back. Beat your man the first time and then do something. Whether it's a dink, whether it's a cut it across goal, whether it's a shot, whatever. Yeah. Just do it. So I like those 2 goals that we scored.
Briefly on Saka, I actually agree with you. He was a lot more direct in that game. You could see in the second half, especially, he was our outlet. He was the one hugging the touchline, whereas on the left side, he was more huddled up. He was receiving the ball, running at the defender, and you are right. It was more an efficient performance in terms of his dribbling, going at it. It's similar to the way Mahrez does it at Man City, obviously, but it's nice to see Saka kind of getting the confidence and doing it more consistently. But I want to talk about the first goal. Well, not necessarily the first goal, but the man involved in the first goal, Zinchenko, because we mentioned Ben White, and I do agree he did have a good game, and he was probably a candidate for one of the best players. But Zinchenko for me was as well, and not only because of his assist. I think overall he had a very good game. Jordan doesn't seem like he agrees. James, you nodded. Let me start with
defensively looked off it. If I am honest, you had a little too much joy for me in that second half, but on the ball, the man absolutely oozes class. Like, he just looked so confident. And what I was saying about William Saliba looking like, this is no big deal to me. I thought Zinchenko in the first half looked like that every time he got the ball in tight areas or was getting up the pitch. Everything was just, this is what, let's knock it about, let's play. I thought Gabriel Jesus had a little bit of that as well. Funnily enough, the 3 kind of new players added to that team. And that's what we wanted. I said on the last podcast, I don't want them to succumb to pressure, the lights, Selhurst Park. And, they just absolutely fronted up and played their football. And when we were on the front foot, I thought Zinchenko was really, really good. And I've got to credit Arteta. A lot of debate about whether he waited too long for the subs, but ultimately bringing on Tierney, the minute he did, absolutely shut down that left-hand side. So good use of what squad depth we did have there.
Have you changed your mind about the Zinchenko stuff yet, or are you waiting to see?
I'm glad you asked me that. I am more convinced now. I was changing my mind. I was thinking, I've got this wrong. He's going to be a left back, isn't he? I'm now more convinced he's going to be a midfielder because of how good he was in that first half when we had the ball, how shaky he looked when we didn't. Arteta does like a base of players that can really defend, like Tomiyasu, how many times he tried Chambers at right back. And actually, Tierney came on and did really well. He did. So I actually think I actually think I'm more. It kind of basically reminded me that Tierney's a good player. We haven't seen him for so long. It reminded me why we love this guy. Even though it was very brief, he just cleaned up and just did it easily. So I
He's our
think
best left
Zinchenko
back.
will get.
He's our best left
Yeah.
back. For me, it's not even close. I think Zinchenko is a brilliant backup left back, but Tierney's one of the best left backs in the league. He just can't
So
stay
does
fit.
Zinchenko play midfield for you, Jordan?
I mean, yeah, I'm not overly convinced about that either. I think he can do a job there, but it kind of leans into a point with midfield that I know Lee wants to make about Xhaka, and stop saying his name. And I thought he, who I won't name again, had a very good performance yesterday at Selhurst Park. But for me, it's this midfield area, one of the two reasons why I still don't think Arsenal will get top four this season. I think if Zinchenko is the answer to our midfield problems, or he who I will not name again, if he's the solution, I'm concerned. And the irony is, the type of midfielder that we need to sign in midfield is Xhaka. Someone that's got a little bit of bite about them, that can pass short, can pass long, has got a goal in them, as a presence to some degree. The kind of midfielder I want us to sign, Xhaka ticks every box. I just don't trust him. I just still don't trust him. I'll give him credit. He played well yesterday, and I think for large parts of last season, I think he played really, really, really well too. But I'm a big believer in a leopard never changes its spots. And we had a great win last night. But when it really comes down to October, January, April, in those key games during the season, I just still don't trust him. I just don't.
Lee Judges, take it away.
No, listen, I'm getting a little bit frustrated. People like, one
Come
of my
on,
mates,
Lee, let's have it.
One of my mates just yesterday was saying, look, what's Xhaka doing and all that, I think he went under the radar of his performance yesterday. I watched it again today. I thought he was he was brilliant in there. He just gets a raw deal. I don't know why. Let's replace this. We've got to upgrade on Xhaka. Let's get this right. Thomas Partey in the first half was immense. I thought he was fantastic. Him and Partey were fantastic in the first half. Partey faded, went right out of the game, maybe because of that match fitness and whatever.
I thought the opposite. I thought he was better.
Yeah, so did I.
No, it wasn't dominating the game as much, winning the ball as much. You know what I mean? Listen, I'm going to say this now. I'm not criticising Partey with any shape or form. I think that he is so pivotal and key to the game. Picks up the ball in that first half when he's picking the ball up. He's dictating play. He didn't dictate play second half. That maybe because Pellis put it on us and he was in a different position. But Xhaka just kept going and going. And then when you have a look at the final goal, it's Xhaka's as one that picks the ball up from left back, does a little 1-2, gets it going and everything like that. And I just think that everybody just looks, Partey's doing great and great and great. And it's just taking it away from Xhaka. The one thing I will say, and I still think that we've got to, if Xhaka had a little bit of pace to his game, there are a couple of times when he gets the ball, he hasn't got that drive. Which Thomas Partey has, and I get what I see. When Thomas Partey done it 3 times in the first half. One of them, he just flicked it past the player and just went. And he just put on the afterburners. It was 15, 20 yards into Palace's half, and then he played a lovely ball. I think it was out to Saka. Xhaka hasn't got that. He hasn't got that. And if he did it, and then that's where we lack something in there. If we had someone like that can do that. But ultimately, I think, and my biggest problem while watching that game yesterday, and I watched it back today because I really wanted to have a look at that, both players were tired in the end. One, I'm going to say that Partey I thought tired. 2, Xhaka was on the booking. Arteta never changed them. And that the reason it ain't changed them because the drop will be so much in there. And I think that is something that Arsenal have got to do.
This is the issue, Lee. If our midfield options are Xhaka, Partey, Zinchenko, and El Nene, we are not getting top 4.
No,
we're not.
I think you're right.
If those are our 4 midfielders, we're not getting top 4.
I think you're right.
We spoke earlier about Gabriel Jesus and Saliba. We've got a brilliant goalkeeper. If we can fill that final part of our spine, we're good.
Yeah, after watching that yesterday, as good as it was yesterday, if we do not get anything in January because if one of them gets injured and as what you're saying about Xhaka is going to get suspended, and I'm pretty sure Partey went through tremendous amounts of work yesterday. Like, I watched it on the TV today. The work rate, there were times when he was bursting back 40 yards to get to challenge fullbacks, Partey. I don't know if you noticed that, like getting back, then try and nick the ball and everything like that. You're putting a lot of emphasis on work rate on these two guys, and if they break down, I do fear for that now. Like, and I felt that in that game we lost the midfield yesterday. At certain parts of that game, and we ain't got no one in there to come and freshen it up, if you know what I'm saying. And that's my big worry. But I thought Xhaka was superb yesterday, carried it on to the end. I just want to put on it because I've seen a lot of people having a go at Odegaard yesterday. Yes, he had a poor game yesterday. It weren't one of his best games, but his work rate yesterday was tremendous. And I know, like somebody said to me, "Oh well, Lacazette worked hard, and you criticised him and all that." Like, yeah. Yeah, because he's part of his job is to score goals. You know what I mean? Part of Odegaard's job is to create and everything. I felt there was just things yesterday that didn't quite come off. But one of the big things in midfield, if you're not playing well, I've always been sort of, if you're not playing well, make sure that you do the work rate and do that. I thought his work rate yesterday was tremendous. Really impressed by his work rate, and the goodness will come out of that, So listen, I think that midfield three, if it played every single game, guys, at that level, it'd be all right. But it's not going to happen, and that's my concern.
What do you think of Xhaka, Turkish?
It was a good game. If I was to rate his performance, I'd probably say maybe a 7 out of 10, a 7.5 maybe out of 10. I think that's fair. What would you have rated it, Lee? Just before I continue,
I would have gone for an 8. I thought he was better. Like that's what people are always looking at it. And that I thought he was up there. Partey 8 as well. I thought both of them were superb.
Not far off.
But Partey gets a lot more. What I noticed yesterday in the crowd is if Partey makes a mistake, nothing's said. If Xhaka, and there was a stage when they were both getting overrun in there. Oh, look at Xhaka, he's the one getting overrun and all that line. I said, oh, there's 2 of them in there. But I think that's because of what's gone on in the past. I don't think he's ever going to change that, you know what I mean? But if you have a look back at the second goal that won it, he's the one that picks it up in the dangerous area in the left back area and goes through. Other good bits of play. I think Tierney makes a good challenge in that, and then obviously Eddie done well when he come on. But ultimately, I felt he played really well yesterday.
Don't get me wrong. His vulnerability has been hidden a bit more, having been moved up the pitch a bit and having had better players around him. But I still think we need an upgrade, and this is me looking at Xhaka as someone as depth off the bench then in that situation. Someone who, the drop-off in quality won't be as vast as it is to maybe an El Nene or to a Sambi or whatever the position is on the pitch, whether it's a 6, the 8. Xhaka's doing better, or he's seemingly doing better. But at the same time, in those moments, now he's in that 8 position, I want to see a bit more of an attacking outlet now. And we're not going to get that from him. I can want to see that, but I also know we're not going to get that from him because it's not him. He's 29, 30 years of age now. That's not the position he was, born and raised in terms of his footballing career. So in that position, I still think we need more. And Lee mentioned January. I'm looking at the next 3 weeks. I want to bring up a quote from Mikel Arteta. I think it was a couple of days ago. It might have even been yesterday, but he said, when asked about the rest of the transfer window, we are really active, as you can see, with the incomings and outgoings. Everything is still open. It's a long window. A lot has happened. It's incredible how much business the clubs have done across the Premier League. Players are going to have to leave, some others to move, and everything is still open. So that, to me, tells me that we are going to bring in at least one more player. I don't think it'll be more than one player, but at least one more player. I don't know how you guys feel about those quotes.
Yeah,
I think it will be one more player. I don't know who it will be. One player who I would be keeping an eye on now for maybe next season, because it seems like he wants to play 3 at the back at certain times. So if 3 at the back is going to be an option for Arteta for the next year or 2, he needs one more centre back. I love Gehi. Gahey for me is a really good centre back. Yesterday, I was really impressed by him, and that wasn't even one of his better games. But I thought in the back for Palace, I watched him quite a bit last year. I think he's an outside shout for the World Cup squad, and I think he's someone that in the next 12 months I'd be looking at, especially if we're going to be phasing out. I don't know, a Rob Holding over the next 12 to 18 months. I think Gahey, Gahey, White, Gabriel and Saliba, you've got four good centre backs there. But in terms of the next 3 weeks, I have no idea who's on, but it's got to be a centre midfielder. It has to be. It has to be for me.
We agreed upon that last time, Matt. James, you was going to say something.
Yeah, I had it in my mind for a while that Zinchenko would be a midfielder and that we'll get in another wide forward. I feel like some of those moments we had when we were on top, then some of the counter-attacks, as good as Martinelli, Saka, I feel like, let's say we brought in Rafinha, just that extra quality, that extra bit of just that guy who just kills it in the final third. I think Saka and Martinelli had that in spurts, but they're still very young, aren't they? They're still, we've seen them for so many years, but they are still very young. So someone to help them out. I feel like actually, ideally in that situation, and Nketiah came on and did a good job, I must say.
Done well.
But also someone who's going to come on and just terrify a team. You're thinking, oh my God, they just brought off Martinelli and now this guy's coming on. I do think that kind of player might be just as important as another central midfielder. But again, that's because I've got the Zinchenko thing in my mind. The Xhaka conundrum for me is, I actually am with Lee. I thought he was awesome yesterday. Sometimes what goes under the radar is the amount of times he comes and drops back into the defense and clears with a header, and actually how much ground he covers, almost getting into centre-back roles. And he's quite safe on the ball, actually, which is maybe what you want when you're defending those kind of leads. But then at the same time, if you have a Tielemans or a Paqueta or a Milinkovic-Savic, are you, yes, maybe not defending as well as a Xhaka in that situation, but you've got more of the ball. You're more of a threat. You're actually controlling games a bit better. That's the toss up, and Arteta seems to not mind his teams retreating. Well, I say that actually in the Sky Sports interview, he was quite telling after. He said, look, there are many things to work on from that. He wasn't sitting there going, great, what a start. Arteta actually didn't look overly pleased with that performance, which I think is really good in terms of setting a standard. As fans, we should enjoy it. But yeah, in the changing room, he'll have his say.
I'm going to say this now, mate, shoot me down.
Go on, Lee, say it now. Go on,
shoot me down in flames. If Arsenal were to sign a wide player of the ilk of someone like Zaha and a central midfield player of say Tielemans, just say them two there, I'm guaranteeing top four. That's
Lee's good for it. Lee's good for it.
I would be guaranteed. I honestly think, because I think our 11 at the moment is as good as anybody's. You know what I mean? Like, I watched Liverpool today. That they're.
It's not, is it, Lee? Come on, Lee. It's not. It's not.
It was not. There's, I get what everybody's saying, but I think that potentially this is a very, very good starting 11. I think it is. I really do. I don't think it's going to be good enough to win the league. I'm not saying that, but it's a good 11. But you're not, as we all know, you're not going to win leagues or win things with 11 players, and that's my thing. If we were to just get the standard. I think if you look at, say, like the back at the moment, like Ben White, Saliba now, like there's a lot of competition, real top competition in there. I haven't got that up front, really. We haven't got that up front, and we haven't got that in that two midfield players. We don't know how good Vieira is. Let's say Vieira comes a good player. We've got Smith Rowe, Vieira, Odegaard, and that, Smith Rowe can play up front as well, so maybe he puts him into there. But there's in those positions there is not the strength that we need. And I think if we was to just add those two players to really up the strength, also would be very, very important, which people forget. We can tinker it in game situations as well. I think if people are criticising Arteta yesterday for not making the subs quicker, but I don't think he ain't got the players where you can just say, do you know what, I can do that. I look at Klopp today. 50 minutes he's making substitutions because he's got players that are as good or as if not better coming off the bench. We haven't got that yet. If we could just add two players to that, I think we're in for a very, very good season.
Do you know what's really messed up about that as well? It's a really good point, Lee. I reckon if we were to get off to a really poor start, our chances of getting and Savage would be higher. If we lost yesterday to Palace and then drew at Leicester and then drew the next game, I reckon that would increase our chances of the board going out and getting those 2 players. Us starting well, I think in a really weird way, is going to make us less likely to sign players,
Yeah, you know
which I think is wrong.
In previous years, in
Yeah.
previous years, I'd have agreed. I think there's a different determination to Arteta and Edu this time.
That's
the way
more of a plan. More of a plan. Do you think?
I don't think we're gonna bring in a player in the next 5-6 days before the Leicester game. But Jordan is right. It'll be a welcome change to see us go beat Leicester, go beat Bournemouth, and a midfielder still comes in.
Yeah, exactly. That show you everything you want. When you're top of the league going into September, and and then you're strengthening. That will give everybody the boost. Do you know what? We mean business.
Yeah,
and I think yesterday's result does that. You know what I mean? Like they'd have all written it down. Same old Arsenal made signings and ripped it up yesterday. Like you know what I mean? Let's keep ripping up the Arsenal script. That's my message to the Arsenal. Let's rip it up all the time. Stop making these things about you watch what happens and all that. You're dead right. Everybody thinks we won't sign no one, but let's go out there and prove them wrong. Rip up that little book.
So send a message again. I keep on saying, let's send a message this season. I think it's well overdue now. And the Cronkies have talked the talk over the last couple of years. Josh in particular, Edu recently, Arteta as well. So it's time for us this season to finally walk the walk, and no better way to start the season with 3, 4, 5 wins in a row before going to Old Trafford. I think that's the first big 6 fixture we have. Before we wrap up, it's time to bring up the prediction league table, people. I did tell you guys we predict.
Look at James's smile. Look at his smile. Look. No rituals. He's got a smile on his face.
The rituals are getting torn. The rituals are getting torn up. I'm not about to be on this. What's it called? What's it called when you think if you say something you're going to jinx it? What's it called?
Well, like you did with the Tottenham game earlier.
Exactly. Superstition. That's the word. Superstition. I'm not about that. I'm just. I don't care anymore. It served me no good.
You're keeping it real now, James. That we say.
I'm keeping it real.
But listen, we all got points on the board. Obviously, James and Lee there with 3 points because they got the score bang on 2-0 Arsenal. I went with 3-1. Jordan went with 4-1. So we both got a point each for the correct outcome. But 1 game played, 1 correct score for James has nearly reached his total for last season.
I have nothing on Turkish. This is so annoying.
He's killed you there, James. He's killed you.
I know. I've come out flying. And cheers, guys.
He's sending a message.
Next preview show. Does that mean I go first?
Yeah.
So Lee can copy me again.
Listen, I would never copy you, like, you know what I mean? Don't worry about that.
You heard my score and you said the same one, so you copied me.
I said that. Well, okay, if you want to take the compliment for that night, that'd be there. But if I'd listened to you, I wouldn't have that little beauty over there, would I? Like, you know.
Well, I was going to say, let me enjoy this. I forked out 40 quid on your stupid limited edition, authentic,
hold on,
1 in 100, signed, framed. Look at that.
It's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I know. I'm starving because of you. I've barely had a proper meal because of all the money I forked out.
I did check my bank account, and Jordan, you are in there. Thank you very much. First in, like, you know what I mean? Like, certain person hasn't put in yet, but we'll let him off at the moment. Like,
I told you cash from me. Don't worry.
There should be interest on that.
Yeah, well, there might well be, like, you know what I mean? So everything's bought apart from this sleeve. This sleeve's not been bought yet. Like,
this will be the first money I give the Cronkies in years because of years. When I won the prediction league in the first year, I went and picked up a vintage shirt because I didn't want to give the Cronkies money. This guy went straight to the club shop, and now look what he's done to me. Look what he's done to me.
You sell out.
Listen, I'm going to say this now. I was at the game yesterday. I ain't the only one that's got that little beauty. I'll tell you, there was many of them yesterday, like, you know, and pinkies. the little pinky one as well. Like, you know,
Pink
so
looked good. I thought the pink looked good actually.
yeah, yeah.
Growing on
But,
me. It's growing on me.
it's great, but, you know, play like that. You know, it looked good in it, like, you know. So yeah,
Wow.
but yeah, thank you guys for
There
that.
we have it. There we have
you
it.
know, James is up and running for the next season shirt.
and
Like, you know,
running.
so
Trust the process.
you're in with a
Early days.
chance. You're in with a
Early
chance
days.
because these,
Early
you know, I
days.
mean, like Jordan, like, you know, he ain't getting much higher than where he is now. Like, you know, so,
Jordan
Still
loved the
not
red face.
one score predicted.
no,
right from Jordan.
ladies and
Not
gentlemen,
one.
still not got one right. Don't know. Now, for the people in the chat,
Instead
do
of
not
taking their
go on
chances
him.
last night, I would have got my 4 goals. It's not my
What did you go for?
4-1.
4-1.
It is what it is. James Lee, you lead the way, 3 points apiece. Me and Jordan.
Sorry,
third and fourth.
Jordan basically said if the only other 3 chances in the whole game had been scored,
Yeah,
I'd
basically.
have got my result.
Well, to be honest, Palace had 2, and I was meant to mention Ramsdale's 2 great saves, but yeah, I've mentioned it now.
Ramsdale did really, really well
Did
actually, and
keep
that
us in the
ping
game.
to Zinchenko with the commentary as well.
Yeah,
was nice. Enjoyed that.
Yeah. All right,
Anyway.
we're going to wrap it up here, people. Hope you guys have enjoyed another Forever Arsenal. We are back again next week. It should be Thursday, 2 p.m., people. So look out for it right here on the AFTV YouTube channel. That will be the Leicester preview. So we'll get into predictions, thoughts, lineups. We'll see who's back in training, all of that, people. And we'll get our predictions in at the end. As always, hit the like button on your way out. And love for the love as always, people. We're out. Peace.